Hello and welcome to the ARCHLine webinar, Openings, Doors and Windows in ARCHLine and in your BIM design. My name is Zoltán Tóth. Over here is our resident architect, Mr. Illés Pap.
Yes.
Together we are going to take you to a short ride on how you can handle openings, especially customized openings in ARCHLine. Now, before we begin, let's talk about why we are here. For some of you, it's evident that this is our sixth webinar. Actually, we had quite a few topics what we discussed so far, and now you are seeing a kind of pattern over here, meaning that the webinar itself, the target, the aim why we are doing this is not only to showcase our features, but to actually give you some ideas on how to use the features what we give you, because the best test of all what we are making up is how you are going to use this kind of features. We had a couple of shows on how to make intricate roof shapes, how to do file imports, what kind of files we are importing, the advantages of using ARCHLine as opposed to 2D drafting, and these kind of topics. And these are the things what we are going to continue well into the next year as well, but this is the last show of 2017. Now, let's talk about what we have here at hand. First of all, we are going to talk about how ARCHLine handles the openings. So how you can insert, modify, mirror, reposition, resize openings, yes, and how to edit its components and properties. But then we are going to go into how you can create your own customized openings, how you can use external or internal libraries to create your openings.
Yes, that's right.
And how you can turn images and objects into openings. And eventually, we are also going to talk about how to use tools such as curtain walls and corner windows.
Yeah.
So these are the features that we are going to cover. As always, you can ask your questions over here in the chat bar on the right-hand side. We are going to talk about them at the end. But for now, I'm going to give the word over to our architect, who is going to talk about the opening-related features of ARCHLine.
Yes, thank you very much. As you mentioned, let me first show you the concept of how you can create doors and windows in your design, whether it's 3D or 2D. So I will just zoom into this project that we already opened. It's a very simple, basic sample project. It's not very much detailed, but it's a good basis for us for now to add some doors and windows to it. I actually saved a few views here, so I will just go through these. First, let's start here because I would like to create a few doors and also perhaps a few windows here. This is this floor actually here. As you can see, the project itself is very simple. Here I will place a few doors. Actually, whenever you work in ARCHLine, if you work with walls, columns, doors, windows, the case is always the same. You can go and set up the properties in advance before you place these items. So you can select items from the built-in libraries and you can work with them, but we will talk about this a little bit later.
We'll talk about how to pull in external data. So at this point, I think you are only concerned about setting up the basic properties, right?
Yes, so if I already have a door which is properly set and I'm about to place it, then I can just simply click on the door tool in the ribbon bar and I can just move it wherever I wish in this drawing. So if I just zoom here, as you can see, you always drag the door itself with an orange, we call it a reference point. And with that reference point, you can move along this straight wall now, and you can set up the distance. So now, as you can see, there is a value over there. If I type the distance, let it be 1,100. I'm working in millimeters.
Yeah.
So if I hit enter, then the door is there. It's actually nearly there because you then need to set up the opening direction. So you can just open it to the right, to the left, to in or out.
You can later modify this.
Actually, let me show you that. Let me show you that before I forget. So if you just zoom into this already placed existing item, you can find several things. We call them markers. These markers represent its geometry. So you can actually make it even wider. Let's make it 1,200, which in this case it's quite large. You can also change its height. You can follow these changes on the 3D. So you just click here and you can let's change it to 2,400 or something like that. So whenever you make changes, even if you would like to change this later on to something else, you can do that. So the same way, if you click here, this is what we call the mirroring marker. If you click on the mirror marker, you can find the mirroring option. So you can mirror it completely, or you can just change its left, right, or in or out orientation later
just flip
on.
it very easily.
Yeah, yeah. Let me show you one another thing. If you have a door, you have at least two options in case of a wall. You can place this door here inside or outside. Let me show you what's the difference. If you click on this door tool and instead of being here, you move your mouse to the outside and then you just make a door similar. I will also open this outwards. Then, as you can see, even if I set up the settings to be completely similar, they will have one difference, which is the location of placement. The location of placement in case of this door was inside, and in case of this door it was outside. Why is it important? If you would like to refer to things that in normal life we talk about external or internal reference lines and structures, well, normally
the software wouldn't know.
Yeah, normally the software doesn't know which side is inside or outside. It won't analyze the project for that, but it will just simply pick the reference line which you use to place it to determine which is external or internal. If I enable this now, you will see that in case of these, well, actually this happened to be the same, but it's simply because the placement of this door was in the outside. Yeah, I think it's because I mirrored this here.
Yes.
So normally the software will not determine external or internal like we would do, but it will use the reference point of placement. So what else can I do with the door and window? Actually, I can select it and change the distance between them.
Yes, I was about to ask you that, but also what about copying them?
Yeah, you can do that as well. There are several options. If you would like to copy a door, let's say I have this door here in the 3D. If I would like to make a complete identical copy here, or make it similar, I can just simply select it and use this here, which is called the copy properties tool, and I can tell what sort of properties I would like to copy and where. And if I do that now, these match in shape and in geometry, but the size is kept. That's the regular way how it works. So it will keep the original size, so you don't have to go along and change everything manually one by one, but it will keep the original size. And the same thing you can actually do if you just simply click here and use the local menu, and it's called the copy properties, and that's actually quite properly named the way it will work. So you can use this tool as well. Also, you can go into the libraries. Let me talk about that a little bit before we go on to the other parts. If you click on the properties of the door, you can find and tweak all these details. You can find one thing that we call the distance from wall line. Let me tell you what that makes. If I change this distance from wall line to 0, and I say, okay, see, now this was the distance originally.
So now
100.
it's in line with the wall face.
Yeah, so if I undo that, you will see that it was originally 100. This distance was originally 100 millimeters, and now it's something completely different. Okay, so this is also something that you can change here or also in the properties. And actually, you can turn any of these doors or windows into an opening by simply ticking this option and saying okay, and then now you have this as an opening, which won't do with this external door of course, but as you can see, you can do with that. You can also graphically change the size of this door. If you would like to match to a proper point on your existing drawing, then you could just click there visually and then you can enlarge it. And also you can go to the properties to fine-tune other things, like, for example, let me just go to the details, like, for example, the BIM parameters. Each and every item in ARCHLine comes with a BIM parameter list, which you can either use the existing parameters, or you can go and add custom parameters. Whenever you find this add parameter button, you can just add new ones, or you can use the classic IFC parameters that you can just
that becomes even more relevant if you start working with other co-designers' files.
Yeah, and most importantly, this means that not only the geometry can be exported, but also these data, everything can be imported into in an IFCF file. So if someone else works with another software, and another professional would like to work with your model, they can do that easily, actually.
Now, what you have shown us so far is how to work with elements that are in the software. Now, what happens if I want to create my own openings? Because
Yeah, but one more thing. Let me show you one more thing before we go on about the properties. Actually, a few more things. One thing is that you can turn on something what we call the lining in architrave. I think in some countries this is very important, because if I turn it on, I will show you here in the model. If I turn it on external and internal, and I actually use the same material as that was set for the door and window, then if I do that, see, it will actually automatically generate an architrave or a lining, as however we can refer to that. So this you can do, and this is something that you can copy over and over to all the doors and windows. It will add additional detail, and it can be also represented in the 2D. So that's one thing. And another thing here is that, which I can show you someplace else. There is another door here, which is called the dimension and consignment. Here, if you go in, you can set up what sort of dimension in what style you would like to represent, and you can even turn it on automatically. So the moment you place the doors and windows, they will get automatically associated with dimensions if you tick this option. But now I just changed the existing one, so it will automatically measure the size. So that's one thing. And here in the properties, I just would like to highlight that there are other several parts that you can simply change, or you can just change the material, not just the size, not just the basic geometry. And here is the library. And now we can, I think, go on to the next.
One thing to talk about, I think, at this library is that obviously it is not limited for just double doors. You can go back in this tree structure and find all kinds of different elements. We are always emphasizing this, that our aim is not to create a huge library, because it's impossible to keep up with the trends, and this, especially when it comes to interior design, it's impossible to have that many kind of openings in the software. That's why we urge our users to either use external libraries, we are going to show that how that works, or use other elements to create their own openings and work with them. And I think that is a great transition to our next topic, is how to create your own customized openings. Now, there are several ways, right?
Yeah, actually, yes. If I just go with the simplest possible option, which is not really making a custom door or window, but it's actually working with external doors and windows. If you have an external DWG file, which is just 2D, simply 2D, but you would like to build up something based on that 2D file. In that case, as we show, I think we already...
Yes, we covered this one. I'll put the link in the description, but there's a webinar on how to import files, and we show how the DWG import works and how you can process that data.
Yes, so actually, I just would like to emphasize that now. I think I will use the window tool for that. That there is a tool which is called the window by 2 points. And this allows you to, if I would have a DWG drawing, then I could easily pick the 2 endpoints of that existing drawing, and this is what you will see in the video. So you can just by 2 points easily create windows and doors if you have that. So and what about if you would like to create a real 3D doors or windows? Now,
well,
first things first.
If you already have an image? What happens if you have a picture of the door?
Okay, let's start with that. I prepared a few files here. I have photos, it's on the other screen. So if you have photographs, it's either you made it or you can find online. I actually found these online. You can just take any sort of photo, and then you can turn this into a material easily, and then I will show you how you can apply this to this door easily. So how this works. First things first, you need to somehow import this image into ARCHLine, which you can use the file import raster image, or you can just simply drag and drop onto a 2D drawing, and then just, well, let's just place it someplace here,
where it fits.
like that. And then you need to do 2 things if you would like to use it as a material. One thing is that you need to set up something that we call an orthogonal view, which you can find in the local menu, and this is what you should use. This way you actually tell the software that what is the corner point of an imaginary rectangle that you can see on a likely sometimes perspective photograph. Now it's quite not like that, but...
So you could even straighten out an image if it's in an angle.
Yeah, that's exactly what I want to show. So you just match these corner points to the original, sometimes perspective photograph, and then you hit enter, and the software turns it into an orthogonal material with perpendicular edges. Now it's just automatically placed somewhere inside the drawing. And then now you can just simply select this and tell the software that you would like to save it as a material. Now I will save it as a door photo. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, let's just name it door photo 01. I will save it into the my own libraries, and let's say these will be something like doors or something like that. Okay, so now I have this material. I erase this because from this point on I don't need it anymore. And then I find it in the materials here. It's in my libraries and doors. And then I can just drag and drop it over to an existing door and tell the software to change this material from the original one to this new one. And then now it's there. So this is how easily you can just attach a photograph of an originally sometimes very complex door. So like here you can find carvings in it. You don't really like to model it sometimes. Yes. You don't have the time for that.
Or that's maybe not needed, but if you want to have a backdrop or a background to your design, then this might be very useful.
Yes, absolutely. Sometimes even if it's in a focus, you can just tweak the material settings, add a little bit of bump mapping, and that will just completely, absolutely work. So this is how you can create something out of a photograph.
Mm-hmm. Now, we talked about how to create your materials from scratch, but there's one thing we have to circle back to, and that ties back to my thought originally, which was not to create huge catalogs in the software as opposed to connecting to external libraries. Yeah. Now, can you tell us a couple of words about where you can get doors from? If you can't find the thing what you're looking for in the integrated library, what do you do then?
Yeah, well, actually there are several options. You can go to, let me show you here. If you go to the interior, there is something what we call the BIM library. So it's actually not only for interiors, but we just placed it here because here's also the 3D warehouse, BIM object, Synchronia, everything is here. Mm-hmm. Also the built-in showroom you can find here. Now these are online libraries, so you just go there and find something. So if you're an architect, you will likely go to BIM Object or Cadenas or wherever else you would like to go. If you are an interior designer, mostly you will use perhaps the 3D warehouse or other catalogs. So you just feel free to explore those. These are free and continuously growing, extremely large free libraries that you can just find models, not just doors, not just windows, but everything else you can find there. You can download these and you can turn them into something that you would like to use. Sometimes models, sometimes like chairs and other things, props you can download. Or now I will use now the 3D warehouse, and I will show you how you can turn something that you find online, a model of a window or a door, into an existing or a real door in terms of a BIM model. So it won't be just a simple model, but it will be a door. So let's just find a door here, door model. Let's just look for that. And well, I think let's just go with this one. I think this will work. It's not too large. If I load the 3D model, which sometimes takes a few seconds, but when I load it, I can just rotate to find whether it's okay or not, if I like it or not. Let's say I like it, and I can click on download and download the model. Now, when I just simply download it, then it is normally just an object, just as it would be with something like a desk or something like that.
Okay, let's stop here for a second. It needs to be emphasized that, like my colleague says, this is an object which was downloaded from 3D warehouse, but it does not behave like a door yet. Yeah. So you can't just paste it on the wall, because what is going to happen is it's not going to create a cutaway on the wall.
This is what happens. It's not really a door.
It's not doing what you need, and you might think that you are not there yet, but there's a couple of extra steps that we are going to do right now, which would turn this object into a door element.
Well, actually, you need to do only one thing. After you are satisfied with the model, perhaps you just change the material if you like or something, but there's only one step away from turning it into a real door in ARCHLine, is to instruct the software to turn it into a door. In that case, you go to the building door, or if this would be a window, that's the same here, and you should use the new door command. And here, there are the options how you can create your customized door models. And as this is an object that I already downloaded, I will go with the first one. and then I select this item here. Now it looks like it's highlighted only one single part, but that's only because this is how it was modeled. Now the whole item is selected, and now you hit enter, and the software recognizes the top view, and it automatically tries finding the corner points. And if sometimes that just does not happen for any reason, you will get something like this. Then you can easily snap these corner points to the sides and to the front. This is the front of the door. So as you can see, there is an example here. So this
for instance, sorry to interrupt, but for instance, when the door frame is modeled too, sometimes you want to exclude that from the model, and you want to,
yes,
or maybe you want to include that. It depends.
Yes.
But the point here is that at this door/window definition window, here you can define where the software is going to recognize the objects from. So from which point to which point is going to be treated as a
actually,
as a door.
this way you instruct the software to align the hole around this area. So that's how it will understand what's the cutout of this door. Otherwise, if it's for any reason it's not the same, you can add a custom profile. You can design the cutout if it's not matching the boundaries of the door for any reason. In that case, you can design it by yourself. Actually, this is the place where you can also set up what sort of item you modeled. Now we have gone with the door option, but if accidentally I selected the window, no problem. I just select it's a window.
Yes.
And then the same way I can also model, say, holes. I can also create. And also I can load 2D shapes from the library if I create a 2D group with certain hotspots. Actually, you need 4 hotspots. You design these items, you save it into the library, and then you can just go there and select a custom 2D symbol. So now when it's done, you just hit OK, and from this point on the same thing happens, which we did before. I think I have a door category. Let's just use that now. This should be, well, let's just name it like this. I think the rest of the name I don't need. And then this will be my category. Okay. And most importantly, here also you can set up the BIM parameters. You can go here and find everything. You can change these. You can add your own parameters. And when you say OK, and you say OK, then it is saved in the libraries. And from this point on, let me just remove this from here. From this point on, if I start the door command, actually, now I place this item here, and this will automatically create the door, and it behaves just as the other one.
Yes.
You need to understand that this door, in many ways, it's similar to the existing doors, but there is one restriction that cannot be performed with a door like this. Well, actually, you can resize this door, but it won't behave like other doors in ARCHLine. If you resize this door, let me just demonstrate that. Let me just erase this.
No, please don't erase that, because that was just. I was waiting for this topic that you just started to talk about, because. Normally we will talk about the answers to the user questions at the end, but there's just this question what I want to point out here, which I think is very interesting. There's this question about this this door here. Is that if we now resize the door with the photo material, how does the software handle that? And I think in this regard, the two doors are going to behave the same way, right? Over to you again. So just don't erase that, because
good question. Because if you have a photograph, then there is no detail in how it should be resized. So actually, it will be simply stretched. Now let me show you how that works. If you select this here and tell the software this door should be, I don't know, something like 1200, it will stretch the material. Let me undo that so you will see how it works. So it stretches the material. Which is very convenient, but be careful with that, because if you stretch it too much, it will be obviously something that you don't like. And why this happens? It happens because the way I processed the material, it was I imported, made an orthographic match, and then I instructed the software to save that from there. And if you do that, the software automatically sets up a material property which we call the stretch property. If I just go into the details of this door, I can find that it has a few appearance related properties, but the most important for me is now the physical properties. Here, as you can see, it has a few horizontal and vertical setting, but indeed it's actually always stretched. So whatever you do with the host item, which is in this case the door, it will automatically stretch with it and it will live together with the original object. If you would like to do otherwise, you should use the tile option and fix the property. In that case, sometimes if it is used in a situation like this, you will end up with something unwanted, but it's your choice. You can do whatever you want with this material.
So I think the answer to the question regarding these two elements is that if you are going to modify the size of this element downloaded from the 3D warehouse, it's going to be stretched as well, right?
Yes, in this manner they are completely similar. They are doors, they are listed as doors, they will be exported as doors, they will behave as doors, they will be even measured as doors, but some parts that are not modeled that way, they cannot be changed in a way you would expect in real life. They will simply stretch with the transformation.
Yes. And I think that takes us closer to another tool which I think we should talk about is again, we just showed you how to turn an image into a door. But what happens if you want to use the existing doors in our library, but you want to modify them and you want to create customized shapes? So we do have a door wizard, right?
Yes.
Let's talk about that, because I think that that's a tool what we should be using more. We should be using more often.
Yeah. Well, it depends, because if I would like to create a door like this with carvings and things like that, I will combine things. But yeah, what I'm about to show you is that the difference between the door wizard tool and the result, what we achieved by this point, is that thing that I create with the door wizard, which actually you can find at the same place, the building and new door tool, you can find this here. You can find something that we call the door schemes. So you can just select the prototype of the shape of the layout of the door, and then you can go detailed and you can find the parameters here at the other pages here. So if I, for example, let's just keep it simple, I will go with this single leaf door. And I will show you a few things what you can do with this. So first things first, of course, you can set up the main parameters. This does not mean you will not be able to resize it later. This will be just the default size of the door. So if you fancy creating a door in one certain size, then with another certain size, then you can do that. You can just save it and you can just pull it out and just place it ready-made.
Yes.
But if that is something that you don't want to just keep it as it is, and then you go on and change the 2D representation and the frame. Now here, this shows a glimpse of what you can do with this. Actually, you can change properties, detailed properties, like the frame here. As you can see, you can enable or disable these parts. So this is parametric, and you can even change its cross-section to something else. If you don't like what was originally set, you can just change it to anything else. If I change this to, I don't know, like 50 millimeters, then this is how it works. So you can change these properties one by one. I think it's a bit too much, so let's just change it to something smaller. And then you can go on and keep changing the threshold. You can, the same way, again, you can just change the cross-section, you can enable or disable this thing, you can change the material of it, and you can resize it, stretch it to the boundary that you would like to use. Also, the same goes with the panels. You can change how this door is operated. So, for example, if this is a balcony door, sometimes it's operated like that. It's sometimes two ways operated, or sometimes it's fixed. So you just go with this first option. And also the same thing goes here. About geometry, there are some things that you can set up, like the gaps around the panel. And what I'm about to show you, I don't want to go on talk about all these.
You are free to discover this on your own, but there's a couple of things to talk about here because they are very handy tools.
Yes, what I would like to show you is that you can, see, this is not a full panel. I can either remove this window panel from it by just simply turning off the inset. In that case, it's a single leaf, no window door. Or if I turn it on, then I can change how this works. Now, automatic means it's automatically following the contours. But if you go with a predefined one, you can just select profiles. And just as in any parts of ARCHLine, you can also design these profiles. So these profiles that you can find here, these are something that you can simply draw as a 2D drawing and then use the new profile command in ARCHLine and save them into the libraries. And most importantly, you can also add multiple doors like or panels like this, because you can find this plus and erase.
So you can add additional elements.
Yeah.
This plus and erase button might be familiar from other tools. That's the tool set what we use for adding additional elements.
Yes. Let me change something. Let me just quickly show you how this works. If you would like to, I don't know, I will add 2 panels just to keep it simple. One panel will be, I don't know, like 600 or 800 millimeters from the top. Refresh. So this is what I've got. And then if I would like to add another one, then I just click here and I simply add and change the properties. I think in this case, I should use something like 1,000 at least, but I will just change, oh no, sorry, this will be 200, but the bottom should be something different. Well, it's too small yet. Let's just change it to something like that. Yeah, like this. So you can change the properties. You can add other profiles. You can keep it automatic. You can change the glazing material and so on. So even you can then later erase it or turn it over, or if you would like to add several tiny pieces after, you can just use the copy and paste button to just simply repeat the same procedure over and over again. And then the same thing you can actually do with the inset edge profile. If I just simply turn this off now, it will be quite visible what happens. If I turn it off, see this what happens. So you can just change how the window glazing is just.
So every single profile here can be modified. That's the point here.
Yes. It is indeed very detailed, and now it's not too much visible. But as you can see, each and every parts are detailed and modeled the way I instructed the software to do so.
So what happens when you're ready with the addition of this door? So how do you make that into your model?
Yeah, first things first, if I want, again, here I add a few BIM parameters, and if I'm done with that, or I'm just simply happy with the result that I've got, I just click on save, and then again I save it into my libraries. Let's name it now parametric door 01, for example. The category will be the same category, and say OK, and then OK. Sorry for that. It's just stopped. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So
meanwhile, there's a quite an important thing what I have to point out here is that if you create an additional element into your software and you happen to move to another computer, how do you carry the customize the elements with you? So how do you make sure that you can use what you created on another computer, on another software version maybe?
Yeah, well, actually there is a few options. First things first, you can export everything what we call in an environment file, or it's called an environment file. So you can save all the libraries and materials and everything else in that place. You can find it in file, export, and also the same thing you can find it in import. But if this is somehow something that you cannot find or you forget, sometimes people just simply give each other their own projects, because whatever you create, it will automatically save at least with your own project. So that's why if I get a file from you, you work on a different project, you download something, you create doors and windows, and then you give it to me. You don't have to give the libraries as well. You just give me the project file, and then when you open when I open the project file, I can find the same door, the same tools, the same materials, the same everything that you have created in it with the same flexibility as you modeled it. So if you use this door wizard tool to model the door, then I will find the same door with the same parameters. So let's just check if I could save it. It's here. It's this parametric door. So now I just drag and drop it over and place it from a wall endpoint. Well, this wall should have a lot of doors if I just keep it that way. But as you can see now, I think I already have a saved view. Now there it is.
Now, the topic of this webinar was supposed to be doors and windows, and so far we haven't talked about windows that much. That is because most of the properties and the elements are the same, right?
Yeah.
But there are actually two very important tools regarding windows what we have to talk about, which could be used to create customized openings, and these are curtain walls and corner windows. Now, how can we use these elements to create customized openings?
Let's start with the curtain walls first, because curtain walls and corner windows are quite similar to each other in many ways, but the curtain wall will highlight first how it works. Now here in this project, I have this part here. If I would like to create a full curtain wall here, I have several options. First, if I go to this part of this drawing, I think now I'm on the first floor. Yeah, let's just check it. So I'm actually here. If I would like to create a curtain wall, I can go with the curtain wall tool and go with the first one, which allows me to literally draw a curtain wall. And then, now it's inside the existing wall.
Yes, it's overlapping with the existing wall.
Because it's overlapping. But if I click here and I turn it into a curved edge, I can actually bend it the way it is. And also I can stretch it, I can change its height. Yes. This is one way. The other way, and of course then, let me just show you that. After I can also copy these items from floor to floor. Let me just copy a few copies, and then it will exist in the following floors. But if I would like to keep it as one single element, then I can also turn an existing wall into a curtain wall. And in that case, what I would do, let me just go one floor above this existing item. And then I will use a curved wall. Think I will just simply match it here. And then whenever you have something like this, you have the option to right click on it and bring up the local menu and find the opening options. There are a few possibilities here and there. There you can convert this into a curtain wall. Now it's not fit to the other parts because I modeled shorter, but this is how you can create it.
Can you show us how you can modify the number of dividers in this curtain wall?
Yeah, if you do something like that, you just go to the properties of this structure and you will find it here in the basic geometry. There are the options. So, for example, about the number of glasses horizontally and vertically distributed, you can change. So if I would like to change this here, let's say this would be, I don't know, 1 only, redraw, then this is what I've got. So I don't have horizontal divisions, and in that case, this is what I've got here. Okay, so that's how it works. And also you can turn parts of the walls into curtain walls, but in this manner I would like to highlight talking about the corner window. So for that, let me find an empty part here.
What's the benefit of using the corner window as opposed to putting the windows on the separate edges or sides of the corner? So why would we need to use this method?
Well, first things first. If you create a corner wall, a corner window, I think I will create it somewhere here. So if you create a corner window, you have the option to literally draw the contour of this window. So what I will do, I will just use the curtain wall corner window. What you need to do is you have to click on either this or the other side of this wall. I will pick the inner side because that's what I would like to then place as a layout on my drawing. Yeah, I would like to keep that. Okay, and then I can draw also with existing values. I can type those. I can draw a shape, which then, when it's closed, I can set up panel by panel, set up the first panel, divisions, number of divisions, materials and everything else, also the mullions and then also the positions and the cross sections and everything like that. And when I've done that, I can do the same thing on the other side. Now let me just make a little change here to change the divisions to something else so we can see how they differ in the 3D. So this is what I've got here. So first I have modeled the left side and the right side because I have clicked on the inner part, so that's how it was put as a layout here. And
also, I'm sorry to interrupt, also by putting down the 2D layout, you can customize its shape to be something more
fancy.
Fancy, that's right. Something more complicated. You can add curves and additional nodes. So that's another way to create a customized opening with using this tool.
And another important thing that this might not be that obvious, but if I just erase this and repeat it again for one reason, I can show you how else you can use this tool. You can use the corner window tool. You can click here. You can just do the same thing over, okay? And then even if the window is not crossing the
you can still use
the corner, you can actually You can draw a window with a fancy shape, like this now, or whatever.
Yes.
You can design the shape, and in that case, that's what you will see in the 3D. So in case you would like to create something that you cannot find as a ready-made shape in the libraries of the software, because it's not in the door window libraries, it's not in the door wizard, it's not in online libraries. Don't worry, you will be able to model it likely with this tool.
Very handy. Now we have some interesting user questions here, so let's talk about these ones. Now's the time to ask. There's a question regarding the door that we imported from the 3D warehouse here.
Yes.
The question is, the object from the warehouse, it doesn't have a frame. How do we add a frame to it? So how do we add a frame to this door?
Well, if it does not have a frame, then you have two options. Actually, there is a, well, let me show you that tool. When it's still downloaded, I think I should be able to find this door as an object, but I can also use this if I would like to add that part. That is something that we call the place door window non-hosted in a wall. In that case, it's a door or window, but it will behave as an object. So it won't select a wall before you do that. And if you have that, let me just rebuild the 3D and open up an axonometric view. Yeah, like that. So in that case, I would use perhaps if it is fitting, the sweep tool to manually model that part and say I'm about to create it here. Later I will change the cross section and alignment. And then I come here and I say that, well, okay, this is the custom 3D path, that's okay. I would like to change the cross section. I would like to change how that is aligned, what is the size. I will keep it very simple. And then, well, it's somehow distorted, but this way you can stretch it and change it.
Can you now save this as a customized object?
Yeah, whenever you do that, you go to the properties, and these are actually already saved items, but you can simply pick a name. You can click on Save As, and you can save this as a library item. So if let me just go back here, and if I change something like this, change the setting to, I don't know, 70 millimeters and 120, you can use another cross-section profile. It's like a decorative item.
Item there. Now, there's one last question what we could answer. How can we add shutters to the windows? Are there any objects which have built-in shutters?
Yeah, well, there are doors and windows built in the libraries coming with some sort of things like that, but mostly I would recommend you to go to the libraries and find, let's type shutters, and then find what we have here. As you can see, there is a window built with built-in items, but if that's not something that you will look for, then you should go to the object libraries and try to find shutter leaves, and then you can just drag and drop in front of the windows. You can, the same way you can resize these objects as you could resize any other objects that you find online.
Very handy. I hope it was all that you were asking about. That's what we wanted to share with you. Obviously, we are always happy for feedback. So we might have another show on doors and windows because it's a huge topic.
And we will talk about roof windows in another
Yes, exactly. One thing what we haven't pointed out is that regarding roof windows, we are going to cover that in a separate section, the second part of our roof webinar. Thank you very much for all of you for tuning in, especially those who have been so faithfully watching us for the last 6 shows.
Thank you very much.
See you in 2018 with more amazing content.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.